Ilara lived in the precision of the grid. She was a cartographer for the Ministry of Standardized Geography in the city of Viridia, a place that prided itself on having every street, every boundary, and every forgotten back alley meticulously recorded and categorized. Ilara's days were spent tracing lines onto vellum, ensuring the physical world matched the mandated state documents. She loved the clean, unambiguous nature of her work. Ambiguity, after all, was dangerous. The ministry's creed was simple. If it cannot be measured, it does not exist. One rain-slicked Tuesday, an unmarked crate arrived at her desk, a simple wooden box, smelling faintly of cedar and salt air. Inside, nestled on a bed of dry moss, was not a document, but a single, strange object. A roll of parchment, no bigger than her thumb, tied with a thread of faded gold. When Ilara unrolled it, she found a map fragment drawn in an ink that seemed to shimmer. It showed no streets, no buildings, only swirls of color and faint, illegible script that looked like wind made visible. The fragment was labeled, in a graceful hand, with a single, unsettling word, Aurorus. As Ilara touched the ink, the world around her subtly changed. The muffled sound of the ministry's clocks suddenly sharpened into a deafening symphony of ticks and chimes. The stale air of the office was replaced by the phantom scent of rosemary and sea spray. Most startlingly, the blank wall opposite her desk momentarily shimmered, showing not plaster and paint, but a vast whispering cavern filled with luminous blue dust. She snapped the map fragment shut, and the ministry's grid clicked back into place. The sensory overload vanished, leaving her heart pounding against her ribs. For the next few weeks, Ilara became obsessed. She began carrying the map fragment everywhere, testing its effect. In the park, the fragment revealed the history of every bench, the grief, the joy, the whispered secrets left by those who had sat there. In the subway, it didn't show the tunnels. It showed the collective anxiety of the commuters, visualized as thick, gray fog clinging to the tracks. Ilara realized the map didn't depict terrain. It mapped reality's layers. It was a cartography of feeling, memory, and the unseen energy of the world. She started trying to replicate the ink. Using rare mineral pigments and flower extracts, she mixed countless batches, trying to capture the subtle luminescence of the original. Finally, after weeks of failed experiments, she discovered the secret ingredient. Not a substance, but a state. The ink had to be mixed while listening to a completely silent room. With this new echo ink, Ilara drew her first map of Aurorus. It was the space between the documented world. She mapped a river of shared dreams flowing beneath the city reservoir, and a shimmering, vertical forest of lost potential nestled between the train station and the sanitation plant. But Ilara was not the first to discover Aurorus, and others were aware of her attempts to map it. The censors arrived one evening. They weren't a government branch, but a silent, well-funded faction within the ministry, dedicated to enforcing the creed. If it cannot be measured, it must be destroyed. Their leader, a man named Valerius, with eyes as cold and precise as a compass needle, found Ilara working late. "The map is unauthorized, Ilara," Valerius stated, his voice flat. "Reality must be clean. Ambiguity leads to chaos. You are mapping chaos." Ilara instinctively hid the small bottle of echo ink. "I am mapping life, Valerius. The things we choose to ignore don't cease to exist." "They will," he promised. He activated a small humming device, a nullifier. As it charged, the room felt sterile, scrubbed clean, of all lingering noise and emotion. The small section of Aurorus Elara had been working on, a gentle, glowing lake of communal peace, began to fade from her paper. The nullifier was designed to erase the very idea of the unseen. Elara knew she couldn't stop the nullifier, but she could protect her most important discovery, the nexus of clarity, a point in the city where the veil between the measurable and the unmeasurable was thinnest. If Valerius found and nullified the nexus, Aurorus would collapse completely, leaving the world permanently grey and cold. As Valerius approached her desk, she grabbed her finished map and the bottle of Echo ink. "You can erase my lines," she whispered, "but you can't erase the desire to draw them." She ripped the map into dozens of pieces, scattering them into the air. Valerius paused, distracted by the rain of shimmering paper. This was her chance. Elara raced toward the Nexus's location, an old, abandoned fountain in the city's forgotten central plaza. The fountain had been dry for decades, but Elara's maps showed it was the source of the River of Dreams. Valerius was close behind her. She reached the dry basin just as he raised the nullifier. The device hummed violently, creating a hole of pure, sterile nothingness in the air above the fountain. Elara didn't hesitate. She uncorked the Echo ink, and using her finger, she rapidly traced a massive, intricate circle around the fountain basin. It was a precise, geometric boundary, a quarantine, written in the language of the unseen. As the final line closed, the Echo ink flared, not with light, but with sound, a deep, resonant chord that reverberated through the plaza. The nullifier's blast hit the boundary, but instead of erasing the nexus, the blast was reflected back at Valerius. He stumbled, his device fizzling into silence. The impact didn't hurt him, but it startled him. He saw for the first time the chaotic, beautiful immensity of Aurorus, overwhelming his precise mind. He turned and fled into the fog, his rigid certainty broken. The nexus of clarity was safe. The fountain remained dry to the physical eye, but for Elara, it now pulsed with the bright living colors of everything that was real but unmeasured.